Can you imagine voluntarily starving yourself to help researchers better understand hunger? Well, this is what these 36 men did during the end of World War II at the University of Minnesota. Stay tuned to find out the mental and physical effects these men dealt with, and if you do not want to see pictures that may be triggering, please click off this video as there are some pictures from the study. Let's get right into it. The lead investigator of the study was Ancel Keys, and he wanted to understand the hunger and starvation that was going on in Europe at the time due to World War II. Researchers wanted to have a deeper understanding of the physiological and psychological effects that starvation caused because doctors and researchers at the time did not know how to help people recover from starvation and believed the study would help determine an effective strategy. In November of 1944 at the University of Minnesota, 36 men began the year-long study. Due to World War II, it was hard to find participants, but 36 conscientious objectors were chosen from civilian public service, and these were people who refused to fight, usually due to religious purposes. The subjects were required to be male and in good physical and mental health. The 36 chosen were among 200 volunteers. The study started with 3 months of a normal caloric intake of around 3,200 calories a day. Caloric intake was adjusted during this time, so each participant would be at their ideal weight. Many physical and psychological tests were performed at this stage and throughout the entire experiment. After this was the semi-starvation stage that cut this number to around 1,570 calories a day, or about half of what they were eating before, for a total of 6 months. What resulted was the participants losing an average of 25% of their body weights. The restricted calorie rehab period lasted for another 3 months that limited the participants to 2,000 to around 3,200 calories a day. This stage experimented with different groups trying different diets and caloric amounts. Supplementation with proteins and vitamins were also tested. Finally, the participants were given an unrestricted caloric intake period for about 8 weeks where the calories for each participant was recorded. The study tried to mirror the types of food that were available in Europe at the time of the war, such as potatoes, root vegetables, and bread. They were also required to work 15 hours per week in the lab, walk 22 miles per week, and keep a personal diary. Coffee and tea were allowed along with gum, but gum had to be restricted to 2 packs a day due to one participant chewing 18 packs in one day, and another reportedly chewing up to 50 packs a day. The study was also too hard for some of the participants, as 2 of them broke their diet and another 2 were excluded due to not meeting expected weights. One of these participants shoplifted potatoes and other root vegetables from a grocery store and ate as much as he could. Let's talk about some of the findings during the study. The semi-starvation period is where noticeable shocking results began to occur. The most obvious changes were in their appearance, as you can see in this picture from Life magazine of men during the study. Their rib cages and bones are noticeably visible. Other physiological side effects included decreases in strength, stamina, body temperature, heart rate, and sex drive. One of the men in the study was on a date and jokingly told the girl he was with, "If we're attacked by a bunch of ruffians, run like hell because I'm too weak to do anything to help you." Psychological effects were also noted during this period. The men became obsessed with food due to their constant hunger. Food would fill their every waking thought and even unconscious thoughts, as they reported often dreaming about food. Men of the study reported licking their plates clean, and they would talk about food with each other constantly, and some would collect up to 30 different cookbooks. 3 of the participants even went on to become chefs. The men reported enjoying watching other people eat. One said that they would go into a restaurant and get coffee and watch people eat. They were also very bothered when people did not eat their entire meals. They also reported more depression and irritability as well. One interesting side effect the men reported was a decrease in cognitive ability, but the mental tests they took did not show this finding. The participants were interviewed 50 years after the study and were most surprised about how much starvation affected their thoughts and emotions. A lot of them said that they were outgoing before and became very reserved during the starvation part of the study. They were also more occupied with their own problems and stopped caring about other problems in the world. This is because their most basic needs were not being met, and this is evident when the men learned of the end of the war during the experiment. They didn't care because the surrender interrupted them while they were eating, and they were more occupied with the food. Surprisingly, the participants said that the rehab phase was the hardest part psychologically for them. They thought they would be relieved, but were found to be disappointed with only a slight increase in calories. One participant during this time, Sam Legg, was so hungry that he chopped off 3 fingers with a hatchet. At the time, he only weighed 113 pounds and struggled to use the axe. He was not sure if he did it on purpose or by accident, but he remembered reporting this to a worker, and she thought he had eaten them, but he didn't do that. The unrestricted phase of the study showed many participants indulge in binge eating. During the first couple weeks of the unrestricted diet, some participants ate up to 10,000 calories a day. They often overate despite being advised not to do this. Due to the starvation part of the study, the BMRs of the participants decreased from their normal levels, which was noted in the lower body temperature, respiration rate, and heart rate in the body's attempt to conserve more energy. Let's talk about some of the implications and what happened after the study. So like I said before, Keyes was the main researcher, and him and his team released The Biology of Human Starvation, which was their response after the study. Keyes is also known for making the Mediterranean diet and BMI popular, and he was actually on the cover of Time magazine himself in 1961 due to his contributions, and he lived up to age 100. The conclusions of the study stated that prolonged starvation increases depression, hypochondria, and hysteria. Many of the effects of the starvation study closely resembled eating disorders like anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa. This study helped show that recovery of these disorders not only involves physical help, but also psychological intervention. Multiple diets and supplementation with proteins and vitamins were tried during the rehabilitation phase. However, it was found that the best weight gain strategy was a higher caloric intake, which is not too surprising since that was the main restriction during the study. Hunger is a truly terrible thing that happens throughout the world, even today. There are many damaging psychological and physiological symptoms due to hunger, and this study shed some light on a lot of these that at the time weren't really known. However, another study similar to this would not be possible due to ethical concerns. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything new, please leave a like and subscribe for more content. Thank you for watching.